Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here today as we honor the legendary man who meant so much to all of us, Sam Hagan. Sam was a true musical light whose influence and notes transcended any room he inhabited, and every note he uttered was a gift. Through his passionate voice and unwavering kindness, he reminded all of us that music is truly the grand connector. He was for me, and I'm sure many of you here, a true mentor. I will be forever grateful for his influence, and I know we will all continue to honor his memory in every note that we sing and play. Rest in peace and rise up, shepherd. You are a true masterpiece. We will together honor him today through our words and song. The amount of talent in this room is extraordinary, and that is merely a reflection of the greatness that was Sam. I will invite each of you forward to pay tribute to the man we all love so dearly. First, we will have Dr. Emily Simmerly. Emily is a psychologist with Georgia's Department of Corrections and has been a friend since the mid-1990s when she consulted Marty for style editing for her dissertation. Emily will come say a few words and read the poem, The Dash.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. I thought I was going to need a Kleenex, but I think I need something bigger. Also, there were so many people here that wanted to honor Sam that we each get 3.5 minutes. So I'm going to talk fast. I don't want to, but I will. Is that better? In prison, we don't have microphones. So. Okay, we are here to honor and remember and celebrate Sam Hagan, born April 24th, 1942. When I thought about giving some words here, I asked Marty, was there anything she would like to have said here that might not get said otherwise, and she said she wanted all of Sam to be known, all of his life. And that brought in mind to me the poem, The Dash. Show of hands, who knows about The Dash? Okay, the idea of the dash is, on every tombstone there's a date of birth and a date of death. And in between is a dash. And that dash represents that person's life. So all of us here today are going to be defining at least a little bit of Sam's dash from his date of birth to his date of death. Unfortunately, because of the time slot here, I won't be able to read the poem, but I really hope y'all look it up. It's a great poem. It's a great poem. And the concept, of course, is the dash is how you live your life and try to do it the best you can. Sam was born in 1942 at Grady Hospital. Although back then it wasn't Grady Hospital, it was the Gradys. There was a Grady for black people and a Grady for white people. So he was born in the black person's Grady. However, he was a star from the get-go because his mom and daddy had 3 daughters, and when Sam was born and the doctor said, "It's a boy," his mother was ecstatic. And I have this on good account from his sister, so I know it's true. I don't know how many of y'all knew that Sam was a car hop at the varsity. Maybe nobody. He was going to college, and he got a job there because it was kind of close. So I asked him, I said, "Did you wear roller skates?" And he said, "No." However, he couldn't work inside the varsity. He could only be a car hop because he was black. So in August of 2019, he was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic prostate cancer, not the good kind. He put up with so much chemotherapy and treatment, and Sam wasn't a complainer. He just went through all that stuff. And everybody supported him. So he had Seventh-day Adventist upbringing, so he lived well the first 25 years of his life. And when he got the cancer, he realized that he was a scientist also, and he had seen 2 petri dishes. One had meat cells in it, and one had vegetable cells in it. And when they put cancer cells in each of those petri dishes, they bloomed with the meat cells, and they didn't grow hardly at all with the vegetable cells. So he became a vegan. Then he decided, well, he could eat fish, so he became a pescatarian. And Marty and I really monitored everything at restaurants. He couldn't even order with us saying, "No, he doesn't eat that, no." So I told him, I said, "You're really a pescatarian, you're not a vegan." And he said, "Yeah, that's right." And I said, "Well, you're already a thespian, so you might as well add pescatarian to the list." After he was diagnosed, he made a goal to live until his and Marty's 50th wedding anniversary. That was in December of last year, and he died in March. And finally, he was terrified of dying of bone cancer. And from the get-go, he had nodules on his bones, but they never manifested. And when he died, Marty found him collapsed in the backyard. He had a garden tool in his hand, and meeting death on his own terms, right, because he loved to garden. The ambulance came, and the EMTs worked hard. Marty worked hard before the ambulance got there, and they took him off, and they tried hard, but they were not able to revive him. He was pronounced deceased, and he was pronounced deceased at Grady Hospital. So his dash started and ended at Grady Hospital. But it wasn't the Gradys anymore. It was Grady Hospital. So his life arc is the same arc as a lot of civil rights stuff that went on. So I, for one, am proud to know him, proud to have known him, spent a lot of time with him. Wish he could have lived longer. I miss Sam Hagan.
Ralph Freeman is a longtime friend of Sam. He's a song minister. In 1995, he and Sam and the late Oliver Sewing debuted at Symphony Hall in Atlanta as the Three Inspirational Tenors. They sang together for 20 years. Ralph will be singing the spiritual Witness, accompanied by Judy Boehm. Judy is a busy pianist and band leader, and she and Sam performed together in countless concerts for a couple decades.
Oh Lord, what manner of man is this? All nations in him are blessed. All things are done by his will. He spoke to the sea and the sea stood still. Now ain't that a witness for my Lord? Ain't that a witness for my Lord? Ain't that a witness for my Lord? My soul is a witness for my Lord. Now there was a man of the Pharisees. His name was Nicodemus, and he didn't believe. The same came to Christ by night, wanted to be taught out of human sight. Nicodemus was a man desired to know how a man could be born when he is old. Christ told Nicodemus as a friend, man, you must be born again. He said, marvel not, man, if you want to be wise. Repent, believe, and be baptized. Then you'll be a witness for my Lord. You'll be a witness for my Lord. You'll be a witness for my Lord. Soul is a witness for my Lord. Now you read about Samson from his birth, the strongest man that ever lived on earth. Way back yonder, the ancient times, he killed 10,000 of the Philistines. And then old Samson went wandering about. Samson's strength was never found out, till his wife sat up on his knee. She said, tell me where your strength lies, if you please. Now Samson's wife, she talked so fair. Samson said, cut off my hair, shave my head just as clean as your hand, and my strength will become like a natural man. Oh, Samson was a witness for my Lord. Samson was a witness for my Lord. Samson was a witness for my Lord. A soul is a witness for my Lord. That's another witness. That's another witness. I'm another witness. My soul is a witness for my Lord. My soul is a witness for my Lord.
Laura English Robinson is recently retired but still active. She has been a much sought-after soprano. Sam was privileged to share the stage with Laura countless times. She will be singing Ain't That Good News, arranged by Uzi Brown Jr. She's accompanied by Trey Clegg, who is a member of the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra Chorus and Chamber Chorus, as well as the founder and conductor of Atlanta's first award-winning multicultural ensemble, the Trey Clegg Singers. Trey, who's another of Sam and Marty's kids, was also very close to both of them, having performed many times with Sam and spent quite a bit of time with Sam and Marty at home, as well as traveling with them.
Crown a beard of the kingdom, ain't that good news? I got a crown a beard of the kingdom, ain't that good news? I'm gonna lay down this world, gonna shoulder up my cross, gonna take it home to my Jesus, ain't that good news? I got a robe, a beard of the kingdom, ain't that good news? Got a robe, a beard of the kingdom, ain't that good news? Well, I'm gonna lay down this world, gonna shoulder up my cross, gonna take it home to my Jesus, ain't that good news? I got news to tell you, I got
Paul Cadenhead will join us for a few words. Paul is a civil rights lawyer and fellow member of the choir at First Presbyterian Church, who was an avid supporter and admirer of Sam's talents and the union between Marty and Sam. Paul?
She answered my question, what am I doing here with all these experts? And it was, I think, to give the opportunity to show the real manhood and real friendship of Sam Hagan. I had never met Sam when I joined in the battle with Sam. It was a battle of all seasons, all colors, all prejudices, all coming back to a single answer. And we had to find that answer. And Sam was an expert in that. He never raised his voice except in song. I had never met him except through the spirit of friendship. I had never seen him, but I had felt him, and that energized me in a bad season in our lives, the bad season of segregation. And I'm going to tell you how the practical entered into it, and I don't think it's objectionable. After several meetings when, well, Paul, I don't think even the church is ready for this. Well, what is the church ready for if it's not for this? I said, why don't we just ask objections if they have examined his vocal cords and even know what color they are? And I remember Harry, our minister, saying, Paul, that might do it. It did it for a while. And then Sam took over, and with Sam, he didn't need any help. He did it himself. Sam, and as I say, I had never met Sam. He had never met me. And I found out we were joined in things other than music. We were joined in nature. We both loved nature. We both got our hands dirty, working in the dirt. And he would come out, you'd never know it, with the beauty of his voice. But then he discovered there was beauty in dirt. Now, he was always ahead of me in everything. But I got one time I knew I had him ahead of him. I went up the oil line when they were digging oil in the Arctic and bringing it back through the line to get to the States. I even told my wife, Sarah, I can hardly wait to get to Sam. I've done something Sam hadn't done. So I called him when I got back. Sam, I bet I've done one thing you haven't. If you're not familiar with it, he knew by name every park and every squirrel in every park in this country. And he said, well, what is it? I said, I've been to the Arctic Ocean where they're getting oil and pumping it back to Alaska. Oh, what did you stop in Coldfoot? And I said, what do you know about Coldfoot? I've slept there. Well, Coldfoot, for your information, is a village now. It wasn't. And to show the wilderness of this, there's only one way to get up to the Arctic Ocean, or there was then, I guess it still is, one bridge crossing the river that would ultimately get you there after a 2-day drive. They were putting in the pipe, and 2 guys quit, and the word came they just got cold feet and left, so the place became known as Coldfoot. And Sam already knew all about that. So I decided I would give up. Now, so I label him as a man for all seasons, all areas of life, exploration, study, music, help, friendship, you'll find a chapter in his life on every one of those subjects. And that was Sam. Now, he went, to start with a little help in our church, when he did his final concert there at Christmas. The room was full. You couldn't see them. Nobody had done that but Sam. And he did not do it by fighting. He did it by loving. He drew the crowds to him by his own personality. And was I touched when he dedicated that last program to another person in the church and me. He never mentioned it. We never mentioned it to each other. Now, a couple of my experiences in that short period in our lives, across years, but when you get 98, every period is short. It's and they get shorter, by the way. Anyway, when time came after I moved to the retirement village at Presbyterian Village, my dear wife was celebrating her 90th birthday. I wanted Sam to sing. And there was an enigma there. If I ask him to sing, I can just hear him say, I thought Paul and I were friends, but I only get invited to this party professionally. So what do I do? Do I employ him? Do I just invite him? I put him down with the common Joes and sent him an invitation. The minute he got it, he called me, Paul, don't you really think Sarah would like for me to sing? And I said, Sam, you're wiser than I thought you were. I now get you and don't have to pay you. I'm getting you as a friend. Now, this is the relationship Sam and I had. But we probed the love and the affection each of us had for everything, including nature, including music. I was a lover of music. He was a performer of it. And so I found that drew us together. I sang with him in our choir for a long period. And let me show you something that shows the two things in him, the spiritual, the beauty, and the common. We were singing on Maundy Thursday. We turned out all the lights in the sanctuary except one at the main window over the balcony in the back. Total darkness. I don't know that would let us do that now. And he sang unaccompanied, Were You There? Now, anybody who could sit through that and not experience religion, not experience loyalty, not experience manhood, not experience the totality of life, then you are less than life. And so that was so beautiful. Now, to get to the other end of it, we were rehearsing once for a program, and we went to Highlands and spent the weekend in Horse Cove down from there, camping out. And there's a little church across the road, a little more of a model than an active church, I think. So we went over there to see what it was like, open air. And Sam sang, Little Church in the Wildwood. I have never heard more beautiful music than that solo in that head of trees. He was a man of all seasons. Now, when we came to the end, my wife's memorial service, we could not have a service because of the pandemic. We did in the church where Sam and I met, and where Sarah and Sam's dear wife met, and they loved each other. Sam sang, not a person in the audience, but he sang as if that church were filled, and it was, with the spirit of love. Sam had that spirit of love for every animal that crawls, for every worm that crawls. And I understand when he was found dead, he had his pitchfork in his hand as if he were working in the field. He was a miracle of a man, and yet he is still with us. That is the beauty of the Spirit that lives with us. You can't touch it, you cannot see it, you can only feel it. And therefore, I say Sam Hagan is a man for all seasons, not for the time that he walked this earth, not for the time he sang, not for the time he befriended me, not for the time that we shared bread together, but for eternity. Sam lived, he did live, and he will live. And he will live through the lives of each of us who knew him. I think that's what Sam would want. Thank you.
I would like to now invite Graham Perkerson to come join us. Graham was the organist at St. Jude Catholic Church for much of Sam's time as a cantor there, and a close personal friend of my family as well. Graham, would you like to come up? Oh, yeah.
Good afternoon. I would feel much more comfortable playing for you than speaking to you, so bear with me and we'll see what we can work up here. I was Sam's accompanist at St. Jude for 15 years, and I have 3 minutes here, but I could really tell you a lot of other things like you did that bring the man to life, and I'm going to depart from this for just a minute. I lived much closer to St. Jude than Sam did, so I was always there before 8:30 on Sunday morning. But I knew the sound of Sam's footsteps as he came down those steps. And when he was just a little bit off on the time, I was very panicked because I could not do the cantoring and play. So anyway, and Sam brought me the special music to rehearse, and we got one run through with it. And I was always so challenged. I thought, I hope I can live up to what Sam has for me. And we worked it out, and I knew that Sam knew his number, and I had to be with it. And he was a great help because he knew his stuff. And the only other thing I want to tell you before I do my 3 minutes is having many years behind me as an organist, you know, we love the prelude. It's fun to accompany the soloist and the choir, but we also love the postlude. We can crank it up and get away with playing loud and fast. And so anyway, as my tradition had been, lots of folks would come up and thank me for playing such a nice postlude. But I remember when I played my first service with Sam, the people were coming up after the service, but they weren't coming to say anything to me. They went to Sam. So I say Sam was the first to help me realize my ghost-like quality. Okay, so there are many other stories I could tell you, but, you know, he was the man, and he was my friend, and I can't say that enough. And as I remember him to you, first of all, I think of him as a man of great passion, as we've already heard. I won't repeat everything. passion for everything, for life and all of its different qualities, and all the excellence that he showed in his musical selections and what he did with his life and who he shared things with. And all of this came forth in his performances, and his travels were quality just like his music, and his friends were quality as well. He was so thoughtful of other people, and in the years that I knew him, I couldn't imagine Sam participating in any kind of gossip or small talk. It was a bigger life than that. And I always look forward to these Sunday morning solos, and I started to bring a whole stack of the music that I have left from what we did together, but it's all up here. I remember it. As a friend, Sam traveled long distances to sing at family funerals and here in Atlanta for my family. And we have these recorded, and of course I played for him, and great memories. But I believe that Sam, above all, embodied the lyrics of one of his favorite songs, If I Can Help Somebody. And I'm not going to sing it. I couldn't find the music this morning, but as you know, it goes, if I can help somebody as I travel along, if I can help somebody with a word or a song, if I can help somebody from doing wrong, no, my living shall not be in vain. And that's what it's all about with Sam.
I apologize for limiting everybody to their 3.5 minutes, but I fear that if I didn't, we'd all be having Thanksgiving dinner here. So I'd like to invite Indra Thomas to join us to sing Ride On King Jesus. You might remember the funeral scene of Daisy's maid in Driving Miss Daisy. The soloist from that scene was Indra, who since had a career with the Metropolitan Opera, singing Aida, and currently teaches at Berry College. She will also be accompanied by my friend Trey Clegg.
Oh
Well, amen. Stephanie Watkins will now say a few words. She is board chair of the Atlanta Master Chorale, where Sam served with dedication for almost a decade. Stephanie?
Hello. As was just said, I served with Sam on the board of Atlanta Master Chorale, and it's an organization. Oh, I'm sorry. I usually speak very loudly, so I don't know if I need the mic. He and I served the organization for many different reasons. It was an organization that we absolutely loved and care about. And I pondered, when Marty asked me to speak, I pondered over what I wanted to share about Sam. And there were so many stories that we had, but then I realized I wanted to be selfish and just say what he meant to me. And for as commanding as his voice was and his singing voice was, what I remember was his calmness and his kindness and his caring spirit. And they were the gifts that he gave to me as a friend. And I will always be thankful for that. When I came aboard to the organization, there was some skepticism because I have no musical background at all. But he gave me grace and space to settle in and do the task that I was asked to do, which was to lead the organization. So he offered his help in any way that he could. He just volunteered, he showed up, he thanked me, he offered his help anytime he could. Sometimes it would just be a smile or a nod of the head saying, "You got this, go forward." Or it might be a thank you card for a difficult task that had to be done. It was just, having him around was just a calmness, and it was just always pleasant to be with him. And as time progressed, our friendship progressed, and he shared so many stories with me, and one was his love story with Marty, which I truly appreciated. It was his love of photography, nature, travel. He just had some of the best stories to tell, and I just really appreciated it as a friend. But he gave our organization a lot of gravitas because of who he was. And he did a lot of work for us in terms of auditioning singers for our chorale, and that was very important to us as well. So I just want to say that to me, Sam was truly a gentle giant that had a voice that soared, but it always was a voice that gave me peace. And when I heard him sing, I just knew that he was an excellent voice, but he was even a kinder person. And so I just want to wish him well as he now joins the choir of all choirs. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Pat Hoyerman to come say a few words. Pat was Sam's first voice teacher, who retired from Hofstra University and the first Atlantan Marty met when she moved to Atlanta to marry Sam.
You told my story.
We were going to help her up here,
These
but
are my
she was
children who
she was
adore
up
him.
here before I even got up.
All right, I just wanted to talk about Sam. Okay. I wanted to talk about a few personal things about Sam, and also just to tell people that he really was a man for all seasons. And I am going to cry. Sorry about that. I'll try not to. But anyway, I wanted to talk about the first time I ever heard Sam sing. And I had just gotten a job at Emory in the music department. And so I was listening to young men sing "My Country 'Tis of Thee" when they
were trying out for the Glee Club at Emory, which was very well known. And anyway, they were good. They were really good. But then Dr. Yeah. Sorry, I wrote this out because I knew I was going to start to cry. Anyway, the Dr. Lemons, who was the head of the music department there, said to me, he said, "Just wait, I have a really treat for you." And I said, okay. And I thought it would be somebody pretty good. But then Sam came in, this good-looking young man who was a student there at the time, and he sang "My Country 'Tis of Thee," and I was just going, this could be someone from the Met singing. And of course, then he did all the exercises perfectly, as usual. So after he left, and I was talking to Bill Lemons, I said, wow. And then he said, "Would you like to teach him?" And I said, yes. Not knowing at that point that I had anything to teach him. But anyway, we really became very close friends, and we did a lot of good, wonderful things together. I am going to tell you a couple of the things that we did when Sam sort of saved the day. And we started an opera company there at Emory. And the first thing we did was Così fan tutte by Mozart, which has 6 characters. And I chose it because I thought that we had the 6 people that could sing it. And we did, one of whom was Verly Spivey, who is here today. And one, of course, was Sam. Well, we started out, the first scene is a trio for 3 men. And it has a recitative first, meaning, I don't know, I assume most of you know what a recitative is. It's like a conversation that is sung. And that's the first thing that happens in Così. But unfortunately, within about 5 minutes of that recitative, not Burley and not Sam, but someone else who shall remain nameless, forgot his lines. And I was at first the only person, I think, who realized that. But I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm just starting out at my career at Emory, and we're going to forget the recitative. Well, of course, Sam then plunged in with the other man's lines, and everybody took it up, and it worked perfectly. So he saved my career. In addition to just being wonderful Sam. And as we did we did several operas together, and he had occasion to save at least a couple of them. One of them was when we did Tales of Hoffmann, and you light a punch bowl in the first scene. Someone had lit it with real alcohol. And Sam didn't realize this. They lit it, it flamed up, and Sam, who is standing there, grabs the tablecloth, folds it over, and puts out the flame. So that was my second occasion to say, wow, this man can save anything. And in addition to that, he became a dear friend. All my kids love him. 2 of them are here today. They're now no longer kids, of course. But even my great-granddaughter is here because she wanted to hear more about the famous Sam Hagan. And we also became dear friends with Marty when he brought her from Lake George. And still, they're 2 of my dearest friends, and also other, my son-in-law, I'm a widow, and my son-in-law and Marty and Sam and I have had so many wonderful times together particularly in the mountains, because he loved it so much. And I do live now in Asheville, and we would go and visit my friends who lived there and also in Charleston. And many, I will tell you one more thing that was great, I thought. Typical Sam, again, saving us. We were in Asheville, we were in Highlands, and we was freezing cold. It was one of the coldest days you can imagine. And Sam was determined that he was going to take a picture of us at the top of this mountain while we were about to freeze. Well, he put his tripod up and he insisted we come and we pose. And then all of a sudden, a big wind comes and it blew his tripod away, or somewhat away. Well, of course, he goes immediately after it. He says, "I'll get it." And he puts it back there and says, "Now come up here, I'm going to take pictures." And he does, and it's beautiful, and it's so Sam. I'll never forget it. So thank you, Sam, for letting us be here and tell you how much we love you.
Dr. David Morgan will now join us. He's the son of Marty's best friend and mentor, Marie Morgan, who was the senior editor at the CDC until she passed away in December of 2019. David is a survey statistician with the U.S. Bureau of the Census.
I don't think I've ever had such a lovely introduction. Thank you. Well, greetings from the youngsters of the Morgan family. The Hagans have been a part of my life nearly as long as I've been on this earth. My mother Marie was just getting established as a freelance writer-editor in Atlanta in the early 70s. And it seems my life has been surrounded by and infused with books. To say a little about Sam, I should set the scene briefly. Books were a big part of my mother's early career. By the early 80s, my mother was splitting her time between freelance writing and editing and being interrupted by me. And I cannot overstate my mother's patience in those days. Back then, there was the writing and editing piece, and then there was the typing, and if you were really fancy, word processing. And Mom had been steadily making professional connections in the area, and Marty's word wizard soon became the word processing tool in her arsenal. And back then, it was still very much a paper world, and we went places. So almost as early as I can remember, there were trips to drop off manuscripts, pick up manuscripts, and visit with people about all sorts of aspects of a job. And through those trips, I met Marty. And through Marty, I met Sam. And Sam, while being one of the friendliest adults I can recall, still cut an intimidating figure. mainly because he seemed to be able to do everything. I knew he was a professor, and I knew he was a professional tenor. And on top of this, he was constantly building a house extension the size of a mansion. Many folks refer to Sam as a true Renaissance man, and I can't agree more. Marty and Sam were both so generous with time and resources. I learned a little about a lot of things talking to Sam. Whenever I would visit, Sam would graciously give me a tour of the house and latest construction updates. Good was not Sam's standard. All right? It had to be absolutely the finest thing anyone had ever seen. What was remarkable about this is, Sam didn't have any contracting or trade background, really. I know Sam sometimes would throw out an effort and start from scratch, which was time-consuming. I think Marty and Sam's bedroom was a 20-year construction effort, perhaps. But beautiful it is. And I always remember asking Sam, how did you learn to do that? And Sam would always reply that there was a book for that. Sam was the hardest worker I ever met, and one heck of an autodidact. Learning framing or electrical or tile, it wasn't in the least intimidating to him. It was simply another book. Sam gave me a little courage in a small renovation of one room of my house. He would just coach me on the phone, and I left feeling the wind in my sails. And just like he said, it worked out fine. It's all in the book. One other thing I recall is just Sam's joyfulness about everything. And see, I come from a long family of worriers. And so, Sam was a little of a foreign entity to me in that I don't think it ever occurred to him to worry like that. I never heard him speak of some task or anything as something that could not be done or would be problematic. Sam found the joy in it. And you could tell Sam was so excited for what was coming next. Whether it was talking about something he had designed or a trip he was going to take with Marty, it was going to be so good. And you could hear it in his laugh. And I will never forget the laugh. Now, ironically, as many gigs as Sam sang over the years, I think I only heard him twice. Once when my mother and I went to see him in Herod, because that's required. And then at my mother's bedside. And my mother thought Sam's voice was the most glorious thing, and she would tell anyone who would listen that you just had to hear Sam sing, as everyone in this room can attest to. I agree. And so as I think about books and endings, I'm so grateful that Sam was there at the end, singing my mother to her homegoing. And now reflecting on all this, I still hear his sonorous tenor. Sam was such an amazing, indefatigable spirit. And it surprised me none to find that he had spent his final moments not idle, but making that next perfect thing. I'm grateful to have known Sam because he wasn't just in the book. He wrote the book. Thank you.
Jonathan Blaylock is a talented tenor, a genuine and generous friend, an individual giving officer at the Atlanta Opera. He will now sing A Horse with Wings by Ricky Ian Gordon, accompanied by Trey Clegg.
I wanna cry, I wanna feel the world around me whirling by. I wanna cry for those that live and those that die. You sing a lullaby. I wanna cry. I wanna after today. And should I put a word for you in, should I say an extra Kyrie? I wanna pray. I wanna lie. I wanna think that things are better than they are. I wanna think we've gotten further, and that far is just an inch away. I wanna lie. A horse with wings. I wanna think of things like that and other things. I want two brothers, one who laughs and one who sings. I hope the future brings a horse with wings. I wanna know the things they told me way back then are really so. I wanna make a little mark before I go, not barely just get by. I wanna fly.
And now I'd like to invite Jocelyn Smith to come say a few words. Jocelyn is Sam and Marty's niece, a superb organizer, voice student of Pat Hoyerman, and is currently employed by Wellstar Health System.
When I was when I was in the 3rd grade, I had an opportunity to go to an opera at the Fox Theater. And the AJC was out there interviewing the kids. Oh, why are you here? Oh, hear some people sing. When they came to me, I said, oh, I'm here to hear my uncle sing. And they were like, Uncle, are you sure? Yes. And there's actually an article that my mother kept and framed. I could not find it, but I know it's in the house somewhere, where they actually said, turns out her uncle was none other than Sam Hagan. And at that performance, he was actually performing as Porgy. But up until that moment, I didn't know what all the hoopla was about him. He was just Uncle Sam. But then when I realized how famous he was, I was like, oh, maybe I need to follow in his footsteps. Down the track of me singing, me, music. But guess what? We never sung together until 2010 at our uncle's funeral. First time ever singing together in life. And everybody always asked us, why haven't you done this before? We don't know. And we always said that we would do a project together. We would do a CD together, but it never materialized. Even when I was a student at Georgia State, I wasn't in any of his classes, but I always go by the biology department just to say hi, just to see him, because he was always, to me, my smiling, calm, friendly uncle, which was the complete opposite of his sister. Sorry, Mom. But he was always so nice and sweet to me. And so is my Aunt Martha. I always looked forward to going to their house, where they always graciously hosted family dinners. Even if we didn't have anything planned, we would call her the night before. We're coming to your house for family Thanksgiving dinner, and they would always be ready. And it always was amusing to all of us every time we went over there to see what the latest project of the house was. And I'll never forget one time we spent the night there, my brothers and I, and we slept in the guest room off the side of the living room. It was cold in there. But then I had to remind myself that Aunt Martha was from Lake George, which we actually went up there to visit one time, visit her family. It was freezing up there then, too. But both of them, especially my uncle, he realized on that trip that I was an avid reader, so he used to always give me these books. And he was my introduction to Reader's Digest. Y'all remember that? They had a whole bunch of them, and he gave me a whole box full of them. He said, I want you to read every single one of them. And when I got through all of them, I gave them back to him. I said, I read every single one of them. And he's like, are you sure? And I was like, yes, I read all of them. But our love of music was always our centerpiece. But it came from his mom. You know, she was an avid music person. She played the piano. And Emily was right. She was so happy to finally have her baby boy. And the fact that he could sing was even more that he made it be her favorite child. And I'm just thankful that I did have the moments that I had with him. I'm going to miss him. They had asked me to sing today, but I can't do it. We used to always sing, It Is Well, with my soul. And it is well, because I know that he fought hard. Me being a vegetarian, I was so glad when he changed his diet and started being a vegan, and we would talk about certain things. But I don't think I could ever sing that song again in life unless I sung it with him. And I don't think I'll ever have another day without missing his smile, missing his humor, missing his calmness, and missing him explain the latest project that he was working on. And on behalf of the rest of my family, I want to thank each and every one of you all for taking such good care of him. He was such a great man, and I'm just so happy that there's such a room full, and I know that really a city full, a nation full that loved him. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
And now Andrea Cheney will next say a few words. Andrea is Sam's cousin and a realtor with a talent for empathy, articulate expression, and a genuine heart. Andrea?
Hi. Oh, Lord. Let's see. I wanted to start off saying that my mother and Sam were actually first cousins, so he's my second, and that my mother adored him, and she just loved to hear him perform. Rich's department store had a long-standing tradition of the lighting of the great tree on Thanksgiving, and this was a spectacular program featuring local choirs singing from the old Crystal Bridge in downtown Atlanta. It culminated with a soloist singing "O Holy Night." At the last line, when the soloist would say, "Oh, oh night divine," the Christmas tree would be lit. Thousands of the crowd would roar, and the beginning of Christmas season began, and all was right with the world. To the delight of many, Sam was that soloist for a number of years. And this is one of the sources of my strongest and dearest memories and pride for the family, for Sam. I would hear of all of his other projects and travel, and nothing quite hit me as much. I was a little kid. I loved Christmas so much, and I still do. I'm unaware of the first time I actually heard him sing, but I can tell you that I loved it because it was a constant thing that we reflected on in our family. After a while, the lighting of the Christmas tree changed venues. They moved from downtown to Buckhead. Sam had stopped already singing that solo, doing other things. And my mom and I would watch it on television. And every time the soloist sang, she'd go, they just should have called Sam, you know. And eventually that would shut down. The production shut down. It was never the same. There was never the same quality of the whole program, really. 7 years ago, my mom died November 19th, the weekend before Thanksgiving. And during her memorial, I introduced Sam, and I told the lighting of the Christmas tree story. And Mom was so close to reaching Thanksgiving, and I really hoped that she would hold out so that we could at least witness whoever it was that was going to try to sing "Oh Holy Night." And it didn't happen. So I asked Sam to sing "Oh Holy Night" for her. And I was so humbled that he agreed to do it. And going back to Jocelyn, the song that he wanted to sing was her song with him. And I didn't know until later he had a couple of other ones he would have liked to have sung, but it didn't work out that way. He didn't tell me. I would have let him sing anything else except for that particular song. My Aunt Gloria had already claimed it. The one thing that I will miss is that no matter what was happening in his life, be it joy, be it illness, be it despair, he never missed the opportunity of making me feel welcome. I don't know when it began, but whenever I would run across him, he would look and go, "Andrea!" And just to be seen and enough to garner that kind of attention and appreciation, he was just so special to me. And, you know, families can sometimes be a little complicated. They can be gossipy, they can be judgy, they can be all in your business. Not this guy. He was just warm. He was kind. And that huge hug, I'm going to miss that for the rest of my life. And the way that if you were standing there talking to him, he was looking intently at you. You know, you were the world at that particular point. It meant so much to me. And I remember when he died and the circumstances where they found him. And I just thought, oh, I wish someone had been with him, but no one knows when we're going to leave. And I there was a small entourage that went to view him. And I want to thank Jimmy, because when I got to the back of the chapel, and there were only like 6 of us, I think. I got to the back of the chapel, I stopped, and I couldn't move for a minute because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I just fully wanted him to open his eyes and turn and look at me and go, Andrea, you know. Of course, it didn't happen. But Jimmy just came up behind me and just guided me down and got me through. And I will always appreciate you for that. But I will always appreciate who Sam was for me as I was growing up, because things were not all that easy. And my mother was sick a lot. And he just made me think, he made me feel like I was just enough. I was enough. I'm going to come and hug you. I'm going to come and greet you. I'm going to support you. And not to mention the music, I'm just going to miss his spirit. It was just so calm. It was just so peaceful. It was just so friendly. And so I look forward to the day when God comes back, and I hope to be in heaven with him. Thank you.
Gabby Betag was an Adler Fellow in San Francisco and won her first numerous prizes when Sam judged her at the Opera Guild's scholarship competition. He was privileged to subsequently sing with Gabby at 2 of the annual St. Luke's Messiah sing-alongs. Gabby will sing Adieu Fiere Cite by Berlioz, accompanied by Julie Cole. Gabby?
Généreux effort, c'est
Lee and Lena Hoyerman, daughters of Pat, have known Sam since early childhood. Lee is a composer living in Berkeley, and Lena is a nurse living in Asheville.
Oh. Well, I want to start by saying thank you to Sam's family, and partly because I think sometimes when you have someone in your family that has such an enormous spirit and heart and gift, you know, it's not always easy to share them with the world. And I want to start by saying thank you to all of you who generously shared Sam with all of us. I feel really grateful that I got to grow up as a young person and teenager. And I know Lane is going to talk about this, what it was like to hear Sam singing, coming over for voice lessons. And I want to just say that from knowing him and hearing everyone today, the things that are jumping out at me were the way he loved process. Life was ongoing for him, and as Emily similarly talked about his dash, that process of life and love of life was so ongoing. It felt like things weren't complete for him ever in a positive way. Maybe not always when projects kept going. I know I would hear sometimes, Marty, when is that going to be done? You know, but he had an enormous determination and love of process, love of life in that way that life kept going and keeps evolving and changing. And as a young musician, I feel really grateful to Sam that he was always incredibly encouraging. As when I was a composer and singer, I never felt like he gave any sense of skepticism, or he never cast any doubt over, you know, the thought that I might be able to do something. And I think he had that spirit of encouragement to people that he would impart to anyone that was on the path of life or a musical path. He always gave the sense that he believed, you know, that I could do it. And I feel very grateful and that I got to have him sing and perform some of my compositions along with Burley Spivey also. And they were sometimes, you know, experimental things that Sam never doubted, like, well, why would you write that? And I know maybe he thought it. You know, he might have thought, ooh, that's unusual, or it doesn't quite sound typical. He never ever said anything like that, and he always was right there to try anything that was different or unusual, as well as traditional. So I just end with one quick thing. And when my son Solomon was about 3, we were up in Highlands with Marty and Sam, and Solomon had never heard him sing before. And we were sitting at the table, and Sam just kind of, as a surprise, was sitting next to Solomon, and as a surprise started singing, He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. And, you know, Solomon he was stunned. He just sat there frozen, you know, to hear this enormous voice next to him and, you know, singing out this incredible feeling of love. So I know my son ended up also becoming a musician, and I would be sure that that experience of having Sam sing to him must have been a huge part of that. So thank you, Sam.
Well, as Lee had said, and I'm Lena, as Lee had said, we woke up to this beautiful voice on Saturday mornings. Mom would teach voice in her spare time, and we were lucky to have Sam come into our lives at that time, and we were just young. There were some people maybe we weren't so great or happy about getting woken up on a Saturday morning, but you can rest assured that with Sam, we were very happy to hear that. We all are, I think, saying a lot of the same memories and stuff that we have, and some of the things that I remember are the amazing operas that he did and that he sang in. And we were a part of those as kids, too. You know, maybe we were in the chorus or doing the stage or lights or whatever, my brothers and sisters. But we always had Sam by our side, and it was just such a joy to have that. I feel lucky that we grew up that way and that my mom brought Sam and Marty into our lives. And it was fantastic growing up with that. Sam's smile was contagious, as we all know, and I think we've all said who've come up here and spoken. But he was the most kindest man, or one of the kindest men that I know. And his smile would just light up a room, and it still does. His smile was the essence of his kindness. He was such a kind soul, as we all know. And I really was in awe of everything he did. I, too, remember him taking us, touring me through his house and his yard and his beautiful garden. And every time I was lucky enough to bring Mom and my great Uncle Bill up for a visit, Marty and Sam always welcomed us. And he would show me around the house as well. And I would see all those amazing projects that he did. And the next time we came, it would be another project. But it was so neat. He was just so masterful in so many ways. I was in awe of him and of Marty and everything that you developed with your life together, and all the beautiful trips that he took to all of the national parks. So amazing. What a way to live. So anyway, those are some of the things that I remember about Sam. Yeah.
Marianne Evangelista is an internationally renowned soprano and has performed numerous concerts with Sam in the Atlanta area. They enjoyed their collaboration immensely over the years. She has flown from Colorado to sing the Lord's Prayer in his memory and for Marty, and will be accompanied by Mac Frampton. Mac is an arranger, composer, superb keyboard artist, and devoted Sam fan who often hired him for his local and national programs.
Thank you. I wanted to say, I was trying to think in the past couple weeks, when did I meet Sam and Marty? I think it was with Albert Coleman with the Atlanta Pops, which was a real trip. And we'll just leave it like that. But I have to say, the first time I sang with Sam, it was like I was standing next to God with the breath of God singing with me. It was as though it was magic. It was wonderful. It was all consuming. And we did many things after that. And it was just, oh, good, I get to sing with Sam. Oh, that's so exciting. Yay. So, Marty, this is for you. Sam, this is for you. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the
Yes. I know, but I can't do it without talking first. You know I'm a talker, Marty. I can't do it without talking first. You know, I've been knowing Sam since the 70s, and first heard him when I was a member of First Presbyterian and was blown away, and approached him immediately and said, I want you to go out on tour with me. And we put a group together, he and soprano and me, and we went all over the Southwest performing, and never stopped throughout our entire time together. And the last tour we did was an American Portrait, and Sam had to learn a 20-minute medley that I wrote of about 15 or probably 25 different songs from memory, and he never missed a note. He did it flawlessly every time. I have so many wonderful memories of Sam, but one of the most poignant ones for me was a time when one of our dear friends, Nell Watt, was in the hospital. and it was right at time of Easter. And she had so adored hearing Sam sing "Were You There," which you heard about. But she couldn't be there that year. And she was so disappointed, and I was with her up at the hospital in her room on that Thursday. And who would walk in but Sam Hagan, who had heard about this and came and sang for her "Were You There" in her hospital room just for her. That was the Sam Hagan that I knew all of my life. I have struggled trying to come up with what to play to commemorate my friendship with Sam, and it's impossible because we did so many things together. So I put together 4 different pieces that we played so many times together, and I hope you will enjoy it. I think you will know all of these. Thank you. Keep the pedal where it's supposed to be.
About a month ago, I had a conversation with Deanne Portocarrero. And Deanne said how very, very sorry she was that her daughter, Cole, was so busy being a mother, being in graduate school, being in an internship, and having a job, that she was going to be unable to attend. Well, so of course I didn't want anything to go amiss for this program, so I let Brittany know, take her off the gate list, and I let Aaron know, take her off the program. My bad. Cole Portocarrero, my friend since 2000 and Sam's friend since 2000, who we met because she came to volunteer for I don't think she was a volunteer, but anyway, she came for the 2000 Democratic Senate race to work for that Senate race. And so I'm going to ask Cole if she could please just say.
So glad to be here. Thank you, Marty. 3 minutes just isn't enough time to encapsulate all that Sam was and is and left behind in our hearts, but I'll do my best. I met Sam when I came out here. I think it was 2003, 2004. My memory doesn't serve me totally, but I did work for the election to support the senatorial race for the Denise Majette campaign for Senate. Unfortunately, we lost that campaign to Johnny Isakson, who was the incumbent at the time, and George W. Bush was reelected. And while defeated, at least the efforts of the campaign paved the path just a little bit more for people of color and women of the state of Georgia to do their good work, an aspect of the campaign that I know is very important to Sam. Marty and Sam took me in as a 20-something, enthusiastic, idealistic, wayward California girl to live with them for free, rent-free, for the duration of the campaign. And their gorgeous home was a welcome reprieve from the hotel life I had been living by myself. I knew nobody here in Georgia, knew nobody here in Atlanta, and they took me in as family and as a friend. Ironically, my own father had passed away just a few years earlier, so it was comforting to have a kind father-like figure enter my life at that time. Likewise, Marty and Sam became lovely friends to my widowed mother, who you heard about earlier. Don't ever count on your mom to tell the news of whether you're showing up to a memorial or not. My own mother has very fond memories of her own traveling with Marty and Sam, often as a third wheel. While living with the Hagans, each morning Sam would make me a hard-boiled egg and leave it on the counter for me to enjoy for breakfast. Or we might call it brunch, since campaign hours consisted of long nights and late mornings. I often ate my breakfast at 11 a.m. or 12 in the afternoon. The morning after we lost the campaign, I woke up especially late and feeling a bit defeated. But that morning I found 2 hard-boiled eggs waiting for me. One for me and one for Sam. Together we peeled the eggs and had our coffee and talked about all things politics and life and what the future held. That was one of many memories that was one of the many ways Sam showed his love. His love and enthusiasm for life was infectious, as we've heard, and as I know you've all experienced. And like many of you, I have that bright, beautiful, charming smile seared into my brain forever. In missing Sam, I find comfort in the memory of his smile, his voice when he sang a cappella at my wedding in 2008, how much joy he enthused when he held my firstborn child, Ruby, who's now 15, and my second-born daughter, Marlo, who's now almost 13. I will remember him when I look at Marty, and when I stand in awe of the gorgeous house he has put so much pride and joy into. Mostly, I will remember Sam in nature, and as I look back through the beautiful photographs he took and sent us over the years of all of their travels. Photos of birds and trees and flowers and waterfalls. Photos of him and Marty beaming with happiness amidst the treasures of nature in their many travels. I am consoled now that my dad and Sam, whew, that was a blender. My dad and Sam are now two spirits looking down from heaven. And that was the party, I will tell you, those two together. They never met, but they will always live in my heart. So cheers to Sam, my forever Georgia papa, and to Marty, my forever Georgia mama. Love you.
So it'll be a minute before we get our toast, but I really appreciate Cole stepping in with covering my bad. So I did want to say a few words, of course, about my husband. I'm often asked how Sam and I met. Lake George Opera Festival was founded, born, just down the hill from our Adirondack home. We could hear on clear summer nights, we could hear them rehearsing. Sam, from the beginning, my parents hosted opera singers from the company. Sam was one of those. The day after his arrival, Mother called, "You have to meet this guy." I resisted. Who listens to their mother? She called the next day. I resisted. She called the next day and bribed me with supper. Supper segued to escorting this engaging, handsome tenor to a rehearsal at St. James Episcopal Church, where Sam was going to offer the solo the next day, or the next Sunday. He sang "If With All Your Hearts" from Mendelssohn's Elijah, and left both the organist and me speechless with his rich delivery. That was early 1973. We couldn't afford a long-distance romance, so in December of the same year, we got married. That was 1 month shy of 51 years and countless Elijahs ago. I've also been asked what sustained our long union. Sam and I had many shared interests. Besides music, there was the birds, the flowers, the hiking, the national parks, the European tours, the cats, and his wonderful friends. I also appreciate the beautiful space he created in our home as a do-it-yourself electrician, bricklayer, tile setter, gardener, woodworker, and plumber. A friend gave me a chart sometime after Sam died that had many things that resonated with me. I sort of liked all the paperwork. So much paperwork. Or you may lose weight. You may put on weight. You may not sleep. You might sleep constantly. You might get ill. You might not. Grief, especially in the early stages, is so physical. When loss occurs, there's an involuntary pause, overwhelmed by the suffocating weight of domestic and legal issues. Your presence here today is part of a symphony of caring friends, family, neighbors, and Sam's fans who share that burden of loss. Thank you. I'm grateful for my life with Sam. And I'm thankful for this beautiful space. Gifted meals, exercise and medicine charts after knee surgery, pros behind cameras, mics, computers, errands,
the neighbor's most spiffy mailbox, apples, pool parties, Herbies to the curb, youthful art, hand-holding, stair railings, flooded sailors that got bailed, roofs that don't leak, and solutions that will prevent such catastrophes. Countless hours of legal and financial advice, happy hours, all the planners and participants in today's service. But most of all, I'm grateful for your love. And a special shout out to Mom and Dad who judged people by their character. First, though, it's only fitting to have a proper toast given by Sam's best friend and substitute brother, Verley Spivey.
I'm kind of in the awkward position of having worked quite a bit of time on trying to figure out something to do for a toast. And I find out that most of the good things that I was planning to say about Sam have already been mentioned multiple times by other people. I'm sorry to say I'm going to mention them again. Sam and I met about 55 years ago when I was finishing my studies at Emory, and he was finishing up just about the same time, and I wanted to get back to singing again. I did some research, and I found out that there was an opera company that was being developed by Patricia Horryman, who was here and talked earlier, and that, Patricia, is where we actually met. We became instant friends. It turned out that we were both undergraduate science majors, and we had a lot of stuff along that line to talk about. We talked about all kinds of perfectly nauseating things about biology and that sort of thing. But we liked it, and we got along really well. We liked making stuff. You know, we look at some kind of plan and want to build some kind of completely worthless piece of equipment. But you know, we had fun making it. We also liked fishing, and we had something of a similar sense of humor. We both really liked various forms of irony. You know, like let's see. I wouldn't be buried on the moon if it was the last place on Earth. Better still, we had a real musical connection. We tried to drown each other by taking out a boat for some night fishing without putting in the drain plug on the boat, and got rather substantial distance from the shore, had to paddle back, and we both had to jump out of the boat. Fortunately, it was shallow enough, so we managed to get it and we put the drain plug back in. We nearly killed ourselves one time trying to fix a car of Sam's by we were taking out a differential on an old Ford he had, and about halfway through the jack failed and nearly fell on us. So we managed to survive that. And we I'm glad we did this because Marty didn't have to suffer about it later. We had a substantial plumbing disaster that nearly flooded a basement when he was helping me renovate a house in Druid Hills. Fortunately, our musical connections turned out to be much superior to our plumbing connections. And this was the basis of our friendship. It's led to decades of singing together at the Temple, doing the play of Herod for many years as some Herod cast members here. We did lots of local opera with Patricia Horman and other people. We were in several groups. We sang at malls and parties and conventions and various singing groups, and had extremely busy Christmas and Easter seasons every year. Sam was always in demand, and that I was really glad about that because I was on his coattails most of the time, and he got me lots of opportunities for which I'll always be grateful. Sam's substantial appeal was enhanced, however, when he got around to marrying Marty and started showing up with somebody else who was smart and funny. Sam and I sang together so much that you knew exactly what the other person was going to do. Sam had a sense of humor, and we used to play musical tricks on each other with lyrics in changing time. We also both wanted to hit the top of the pitch and we wanted to drive the tempo of everything we did. When we first started singing together, this led to considerable disaster. Fortunately, we always had a problem, but we mostly adjusted. We both knew when the other person was going to breathe, when the other person was going to forget a line, and we would prompt each other. We also, between us, produced several bushels in some of the operas we did of made-up Italian, French, and German. Sometimes while singing a duet. We had a lifetime of performance disasters that we had fun remembering. A director that we once worked with wanted both of us to do an Elvis Presley type leg movement. When either one of us tried that, it was such a disaster that it became a kind of a lifetime joke between us. I would see Sam sometimes, and I would just do that, and he would do it back. So we had this. It's ridiculous, but it was fun. We'd also. I'm an only child, and somewhere in all these years, with Sam, I decided, and actually based on a lot of things that people have said about him here, what a great guy he was, I decided that I was going to adopt Sam as my brother. This turned out to be on a whether he liked it or not basis, but fortunately, he didn't protest too much, and we proceeded on that basis. No legal adoption actually took place, but I'm afraid that Marty has never come to terms with the idea of being my sister-in-law. Sam's voice was thrilling. I will never hear Handel's Messiah or The Bridge Over Troubled Water done by anyone else without thinking Sam could have done it better. I think all here agree he was a great singer. Many here also got to experience the joy of performing with him, which was also just wonderful. What people who knew him only as a performer don't know is that in addition to being a wonderful performer, he was an even better person. He was cooperative, non-critical, helpful, smart, fun, very creative, and just wonderful to be around. The first thing I want to point out is that Sam's creativity was not limited to music. Many people have talked about this today, and I can endorse it completely. His house, for example, is a monument to his artistry. There's much to admire there, but my favorites are the kitchen cabinets that he designed and built, which are just stunning. They're made out of bird's eye maple, and it's hard to work. I know that, and I'm amazed every time I see them. He was also a successful college professor and teacher. I will say, however, that as a fisherman, not so much. I think, however, that there may be a significant aspect to Sam's life that I was there for that I don't feel like is sufficiently appreciated. It's been mentioned several times today, but I want to mention it more because I was around for a lot of this. Sam and I were born 3 months apart in a racist United States in which segregation reigned and the Civil Rights Acts were 20 years in the future. Department stores, when we were children, had black and white restrooms, black and white water fountains, and black people rode in the back of the bus. Professional sport teams had no black players. I never went to school with a black person until my senior year in college. Most of my schoolmates and college mates had no personal relationships at all with black people. They were seen, but social interaction was vanishingly rare. Attitudes about black people were taught by the previous generation, and black and white communities, with rare exceptions, were completely, and I mean completely, separate and not equal. This was the world Sam was faced at with a young adult. As far as I'm concerned, through his life, he made a substantial impact on it. Sam's talent was so great that it gave him opportunities to somewhat break through this barrier and interact with people on both sides of the divide and at all levels of society. His personality, intelligence, and grace left everyone impressed with him. When we first started music together, Sam was frequently the only person there, either performing or in the audience that was black. When people came by to express amaze at Sam's absolutely stunning performance, Sam would at the spot charm their socks off and do just that little bit to change attitudes. These little bits multiplied and added up over his lifetime to real change. As time went by, Sam did roles in biracial productions, and our groups that entertained for conventions and parties included periodically biracial romantic duets. He was also responsible for creating opportunities for other black performers, several of whom are here that I've seen, to perform in white and interracial environments. He also got white performers introduced in the black musical community in Atlanta, and I can say that I'm one of those. Sam's talent and charm made this all work and did just that little bit to change attitudes. There's a great difference between changing and passing laws to make people do things and changing attitudes to get people to reconsider what they're doing. It is important to remember that performing before white audiences early in his life took real courage, as acceptance could not be guaranteed, I promise you. I have to say from personal experience that Sam's participation was not always appreciated, no matter how well he performed. Sam's participation in otherwise all musical efforts was not always understood in the black community either. It put him right in the middle. It frequently discouraged him, and it was a substantial struggle for him. He frequently questioned himself about it. Fortunately, the world Sam was born into has changed substantially, and I feel strongly, very strongly, that Sam was a significant contributor to that change, and he should be recognized for it. I don't believe Sam's goal was ever to be a crusader. I think they were to do the kind of music that he wanted to do and to live the kind of life he wanted and to be himself. In doing so, however, he brought joy to his public, improved the lives of his friends, made the world a more beautiful place, and moved just a few of us in the direction of being better and more tolerant people. So here's to Sam, a magnificent singer, a scientist, a teacher, an artist and creator, a champion of change in attitudes, a bringer of joy, a wonderful friend, a man of astonishing personal courage, and my greatly missed brother, best friend, irreplaceable singing partner. Congratulations on a life well lived.
In the opera to Fledermaus, guests of Prince Orlovsky join in a chorus in praise of love. So I've asked our singing guests to grace our program with the Bruderlein chorus. So I'm going to ask the soloist for the Bruderlein chorus and the chorus members of the Bruderlein chorus to come forward now.
Sing to love, love we never knew before. May it flourish and bloom forevermore. Sing to love, everlasting happiness. May it always be friends together for eternity. Of fraternity, of companion.